welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see current affairs of 19 February 2025. So let's get started with our discussion, and there are many articles which are relevant from our examination point of view in our today's Hindu newspaper. So let us see those articles. So if you see the title of this first article, it says India Qatar elevate ties to strategic partnership. So this article is talking about India-Qatar relations. So this article is talking about India-Qatar relations. So the key word is India-Qatar. So this article is important from your GS paper 2 under international relations. And not only from international relations, even this article is important from GS paper 1 under geography also. So what are the dimensions you have to see from geography? So open your atlas and see map of this Qatar. Especially it is a part of our West Asia. So you have to see West Asian countries. So you have to see the map, and in that map especially you have to see location of Qatar, and you have to see which are the bordering countries of this Qatar, and you have to see nearby water bodies. And if it is possible, you can also see about economy of this Qatar. Economy of Qatar is based on what? For example, India's economy is called as primary agriculture economy. That is, most of our economies depend upon agriculture. That means more than 50% of our people, they are dependent on agriculture as their activity. So like that, you have to see what is the economic activity of Qatar. So why this economic activity is important now? So whenever you are seeing relationship between two countries, so why they will come together, especially for cooperation in this context of economy, context of trade, context of like military cooperation, space technology, or any other type of technology. So like that, here if you understand the economy of that country, you can simply write some important points regarding advantage of this kind of relationship, or advantage of the meet, or what we are going to get from Qatar. So it is entirely dependent on your economy. So just Google about economy of Qatar, so that you can write some new points, which is compared to the others, it will be like special points you will be only writing regarding. So what will be the advantage of India-Qatar relations? So here in GS paper 2 on international relations, you have to see about history. History means nothing but when India-Qatar relations started. And you have to see areas of cooperation. So areas of cooperation is nothing but in which areas we are having good relationship. And next you have to see what are the challenges. So what are the difficulties between India and Qatar relations, you have to see. And after saying that, you have to suggest some measures, that is way forward, how we can improve relationship based on challenges. That means how can we address challenges between India and Qatar relations. And apart from that, you have to see the present context, what is going on now. So why this India-Qatar relations is in use. Okay, that you can get from this article, but you need to do some background work. Okay, now let us see the context. So Qatar, it is one of the major energy suppliers. So actually, this West Asian country's economy is depend upon oil and as well as fossil fuels. So here Qatar, it is one of the major source of oil that we are getting from. And even we are going to sign an agreement to elevate India-Qatar relationship to the level of strategic partnership. That means we are going to improve our relationship further with Qatar. So if you see the location of Qatar, where it is located, so here I think this image is not clear, but here this part is our Qatar. And here we have Saudi Arabia, here we have UAE, and it is surrounded by water. So we have Persian Gulf here, we have Persian Gulf here, and here we have Gulf of Bahrain. Okay, so you have to open your map and you have to see it clearly, guys, and please make a note of geographical location also. because every year in your prelims you will be getting at least 2 to 5 questions regarding a map. So if you're well with map, then you can easily answer such kind of questions. So if you see the important points which are given in this article, so we are going to improve strategic partnership with this Qatar, so that we can enhance still our bilateral relations, and even we can enhance our cooperation, particularly in the context of global challenges. And next one is we are also going to improve our bilateral trade. So here the aim is doubling of bilateral trade to $28 billion, which mainly indicates that yes, we are going to improve our economic relations with that country. And next one here is we are also going to focus on free trade agreement. So free trade agreement is nothing but trade includes imports and as well as exports. Free is nothing but there will be no import duty or export duty or no tariff in this trade. That is called as free trade agreement. So whenever we are having this free trade agreements with different countries, then what will be the advantage? So here we can ensure free trade, that means no tariffs like import duty or export duty, so that we can reach international markets and our goods will be of low cost, so that our goods will be competitive in the foreign market, so that we will be getting some favorable economic environment for the countries if they are signing this free trade agreements. And next one here is they are also going to come up with some legal frameworks like double tax avoidance. So what is this double tax avoidance? It is a very important concept, guys. Double tax avoidance. So double tax avoidance agreement, DTA, is nothing but if you are paying tax in one country, there is no need of paying tax in another country. That is called as double tax avoidance agreement. So whenever we are avoiding tax paying on two countries, then what happen? So only in one country we are going to pay the tax, and there is no need of paying tax in the second country. So that what happen? The price of this good will be decreased, and whenever the price of this good will be decreased, and our good will become competitive in international market, so that we can increase our sales of that product, and we can increase production in our country, and as well as it will be boosting our manufacturing sector. That will leads to overall improvement of trade, and as well as economic growth of a country can be ensured. So this is like a chain. Okay, so you have to write this kind of flow charts in your examination in your mains. Okay, so what is significance? Why we need to maintain good relations with Qatar? So one important reason here is Qatar is having membership in GCC, that is Gulf Cooperation Council. So this GCC is nothing but the Union of Islamic Countries normally. So here if India is having good relation with this Qatar, obviously India will be also having good relations with this entire GCC, so that in that GCC grouping we can raise some issues like Kashmir issue. And not only that, India also needs support of different countries for United Nations Security Council reforms. To get permanent membership for India in this UNSC, yes, we need to have the support of Qatar. So politically, we need this Qatar for two things. So first one here is to raise issues like Kashmir issue in this GCC, and second one is to get permanent membership in this UNSC. And next one is energy security. As you all know that we are getting LNG, that is liquefied natural gas. Okay, and almost 50% of our imports coming from this Qatar. So from energy point of view, for energy security, it is very important. And next one here is we are also having good economic and trade ties, especially we India is among four largest export destination of Qatar. So even Qatar exports to India. So what are the goods that we are getting from Qatar? So please make a note. That is LNG, LPG, chemicals, petrochemicals, fertilizers, and plastics. So these are the things or the goods that we are getting from Qatar. And India is also one of the top three sources of Qatar's import. So what we are exporting, like cereals, copper articles, iron and steel articles, vegetables and fruits. Mostly we will be sending food items like cereals, vegetables, fruits, apart from that copper and as well as iron and steel articles. And next one here is we're also having good business presence in India, presence of Indian companies there. So especially this L&T, Wipro, TCS, and Tech Mahindra. So they are also operating in Qatar. That means for business also it is very important for private individuals. And next one here is we're also going to get remittances. Remittance is nothing but if Indian diaspora who are present in Qatar, they will be working there and they'll be getting salary, some amount of salary they will be sending back to their family members, and this is called as remittances. So we are going to get good amount of remittance, that is around 8 lakh Indian people who are living and working there. So we'll be getting remittance of around $750 million. It is very important for our country. And next one is for defense and as well as strategic cooperation also we are very good. Especially we are doing some exercises like Jair Al Bahar, and even India and Qatar also signed recently defense cooperation agreement. So because of this, from defense and security point of view also Qatar is very important. And even for culture exchange, because all you know that around 8 lakh people of India are present in this Qatar. That means for cultural exchange and from people to people ties also it is very important. So this is about in detail regarding this topic. And now let us see the next article, guys. Yeah, title says in landmark talks, Russia, US agree to work towards ending the war in Ukraine. So this article is talking about Russia-Ukraine war. So actually it had been more than 2 years it had been started, right? So finally here we are going to have the ending for this or full stop for this Russia-Ukraine war, and we have to let's wait and see what is going to happen. So this article is talking about Russia-Ukraine relations. It is talking about Russia-Ukraine relations. So this article is important from your GS paper to under international relations. So what you have to see, so you have to see some important areas. First of all, you have to see map of Russia, and you have to see how many time zones which is present in Russia, because it is expressed from west to east. So you have to see the number of time zones. In India we have only one time zone, but in Russia there are number of time zones. You have to see the number of Russian time zones. And next you have to see about bordering countries. So with which countries it is sharing boundary, and you may expect this question this year. You are right in this prelims. So see the countries which are sharing boundary with Russia. And next you have to see about what is the history of this Russia Ukraine war, why it started. So if you dig deep into the history, you will come across this NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and also Warsaw Pact. So you have to see these two things, Warsaw Pact and NATO. And next you have to see what are the steps taken in the recent past. Okay, recent past to uh, to decrease this aggressive policy of Russia, how why it is attacking this Ukraine like that. So you have to see what are the recent steps by different countries. So even India also involved. So Indian Prime Minister visited Ukraine, and in return he also gave in some gifts for this Ukraine, like Bhishma cubes like that. So you have to see what is India's strategy also, because India is also involving in that peace process between Russia and Ukraine. So you have to see that. And now US wants to involve. So you have to see what is the role which can be played by US. Okay. So all these things are very important from your international relations. Now let us see this topic in detail. So context says that yes, there is a significant shift in our diplomatic relations. Russia and US, they have agreed to collaborate towards ending of ongoing war. So as you all know that Russia-Ukraine war, it had been started more than 2 years, and many a times many countries they took steps to stop this. But finally, we are going to have a shift now. So now Russia and as well as US they agreed together to conclude or to stop this ongoing war in Ukraine. So what are the points that you have to remember is the first one is now there is going to be a diplomatic shift. So this agreement between US and as well as Russia, so it is going to work towards establishment of peace in Ukraine. Okay, So that is the one thing you have to see. And as you all know that we have US and we have Russia. Two are rivalry countries. They are not friendly nations. So whenever US and Russia they are coming together to come up with this conclusion of this Russia-Ukraine war means we can understand that there is a thaw. So in international relations, you will be coming across this thaw. Thaw is nothing but whenever we are having two rivalry countries, sometimes the relations are like extreme tensions. Sometimes there will be no tensions. Sometimes there will be increasing of tensions like that. So whenever there is no tensions or like peace between those countries, so this is called as thaw. That means now US and Russia they are coming together for keeping full stop for this Russia-Ukraine agreement means we can understand that there is thaw-like condition which is going on between US and as well as Russia. And even one more thing that you have to see. So actually, who is the president of USA now? Donald Trump. So Trump is in 2.0 era. And who is the Russian president? Who is the Russian president? Putin. So actually, Trump 1.0 era was there. So between this Trump 1.0 and 2.0, who was the person? Biden, right? So actually there was allegation that during this Putin elections of Russia, Trump 1.0 helped him. Even there was some cases which had happened. That means this Putin and Trump, they were friends together. And between Biden came, and this Biden, he was against this Russian president now. And finally, again, Trump 2.0 era came. So again, there is a change in the relationship between US and Russia that you can see which is happening now. So here US and Russia, they are coming together so that now we can see there is a thaw period between these two countries. That is also an important point that you have to see. And many of you, if you have started recently your preparation, you might not be knowing about what is Trump 1.0 era, what is the relationship between this Trump and as well as Putin. So this is something that you have to remember. Okay, now let us see next important point. So next important point here is they want to restore diplomatic ties again. So they are going to come up with mutual agreement so that they will restore staffing, and as well as they are going to normalize the relationship, and even they want to enhance diplomatic communication. Okay, so that finally they will going to provide a foundation for future collaborations as well. And actually, one important problem here is what are the things which are going on, meetings, talks, everything, their Ukrainian officials are not present. So because of this absence of Ukrainian officials, it lacks some, again, it will lead to some concerns like, yes, how it will be legitimate. So the people who are involved here in this Russia-Ukraine war is Russia and Ukraine. On another side, Russia and US, they are talking both. But what about this Ukraine which had been left? So here, there is ineffectiveness will be seen because of this lack of Ukrainian officials in the discussions. Okay, and there is also a possibility of having this Trump Putin summit as well, so that they are going to try to stop this Russia-Ukraine war. So this is the thing. And if you see the next article, you can see slight dip in unemployment rate in urban areas, says a survey. So this article is talking about one important keyword, that is unemployment. So keyword is unemployment. So this article is important from your GS paper 3 under economy. So in your economy, if you go through your syllabus, we have a chapter called as poverty and unemployment together. So this topic is for both your prelims and as well as mains. So what are the dimensions you have to see? What is the definition of unemployment? And you have to see what are the reasons of unemployment in India. And you have to see what are the types of unemployment. And here you have to see what are the government measures or like government schemes related to this unemployment, and you have to see about way forward. So if you do this, you can cover both your static and as well as dynamic part. So what is unemployment? So you have everything eligibility criteria, but If you are willing to do work also, if you are not getting work, that is called as unemployment. And next one is reasons why we'll be having unemployment. So if there is lack of jobs, for example, if there is lack of growth, for example, if there is lack of skills, if you're not having proper qualification, everything that will be the important reasons of getting unemployed. And this one is types. We have different types like structural unemployment, disguised unemployment, cyclic unemployment, frictional unemployment. You have to see these terms and what is the meaning of that. That is clearly will be dealt in your static classes. And this one is government schemes. So government is coming up with lots of schemes which is providing employment opportunities. For example, you might have heard about this MG Narega. That is nothing but Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. And even government came up with this Rozgar Yojana. And government is also providing skills through the Skill India program. Okay, government is encouraging this production of goods and services by this PLI program, that is Production Linked Incentive Schemes. So all these schemes are focusing on improving of employment opportunities. Apart from that, what steps can be taken? You have to write at least 4 to 5 points and your work is done. So now let us see this article, what is the survey is talking about. So the Periodic Labor Force Survey, in short PLFS, it is saying that yes, there is a very slight decrease in unemployment rate in urban areas. So if you see that rate, it is 6.4 percentage. Okay, what is the unemployment rate in urban areas? That is 6.4 percentage in India. So here if you see the trend, so there is a slight decrease. That means what was the earlier rate? That is earlier rate is just 6.5 and now it is 6.4. Very slight decrease. And next one here is, so this report is also saying that there is impact of gender on employment. The higher unemployment rate is seen among women compared to that of men. So here you have to see about what are the possible reasons why there is less unemployment rate in women. What are the possible reasons? One important reason you can quote here is patriarchal society, and even they are having their own gender roles. Okay, and because of dual burden, because woman is responsible for doing the care work, and as well as if she is going out means there will be dual burden on her. And lack of skills, lack of education, everything that you can add. What are the possible reasons? And next one here is, we can also understand that whenever there is disparity or difference between men and women is happening in the society, we can understand that there are some potential barriers for women. Okay, so you have to see what are those potential barriers. It may be social barriers, it may be education barriers, it may be economical factors, everything that you have to write. And next one is, if you are focusing on the different states, so between the states also there is difference. So for example, Himachal Pradesh and Gujarat, they are having uh, unemployment rates. So because of this, what happened, if any company, if they want to do investment in certain areas, so they can't attract investments. So in this way also it will be getting affected. So because of this, we have to reduce inequality between the states. For example, some states are having good manufacturing industries like Maharashtra, Gujarat, but if you go to Bihar, so there are very less. That means unemployment rate will be high in the areas where there is no development. If there is high development industries, everything, unemployment rate is less. So we have to reduce this inequality for sure, so that we can ensure overall development of a country with inclusive growth. And next one here is, even we have to focus on employment status classification, the distribution of workers across different employment status, which will provide insights into the nature of jobs available. So if you see in urban areas, we will be having the wide range of facilities of getting employed. For example, construction sites you can work. For example, we'll be having restaurants, we'll be having schools, and we'll be having good hospital facilities. So because of this, if you're comparing the rural areas, in urban areas, we will be having good facilities. So here we have to find out the nature of jobs which are available in the urban areas, and especially through that we can ensure that whether there is a job stability that we can we can ensure or not. And next one here is, we need to focus on different sectors as well. So as of now, we'll be having like primary sector, it is also called as agriculture sector. We'll be having manufacturing sector, that is also called as industrial sector, tertiary sector or service sector, quaternary and quinary. And you have to see in which sector we have huge amount of employment. As you all know that in agriculture sector, we have more than 50% of people they are employed. So we have to come up with some priorities regarding that sector so that we can ensure that people are getting good job opportunities and as well as salary standard of living in other areas as well. Okay, so that we can go for economic diversification. That means from primary sector they have to move towards secondary or tertiary or quaternary or quinary so that they can get job satisfaction as well as they will be getting good salary so that the standard of living will be increased. That is about this topic. And next, let us see the next topic. India prepares to submit updated greenhouse gas inventory to UN. So this article is talking about greenhouse gases. Okay, let us see the keyword. The keyword of this article is greenhouse gases. So this topic is important from your GS paper 3 under environment and ecology. So in your environment and ecology, you will be studying a topic called as pollution. So in this pollution, we have different types of pollution. For example, we have air pollution, water pollution, you have sound pollution, noise pollution, and newly we are also adding this light pollution now. So when you're talking about air pollution, so we have different compounds which are present in our atmosphere which causes air pollution. And because of this air pollution, it is also causing a problem called as global warming. So global warming, it is mainly caused by increase in of concentration of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere which causes air pollution. So this greenhouse gases in turn leads to global warming and this global warming leads to climate change. Everything it is a chain. So here what are the dimensions you have to see? You have to see about what are these greenhouse gases and you have to see examples. So from these examples itself, many times UPSC asks you a prelims question. Like consider the following gases and they'll give you 3 or 4 in the line and they'll ask which of the above are greenhouse gases. And in that way you will be getting questions, and many a times they ask question regarding this global warming and interlinking of greenhouse gases. So you have to see that, and you have to see what is the impact of different gases, and you have to see what is this global warming and what are the reasons for this global warming, what is the impact of this global warming, and you have to see conventions and as well as protocols regarding this global warming in India. And apart from this, you have to see the measures. So in measures, recently our government announced that we are going to achieve this carbon neutrality or net zero by 2070. So what is this you have to see? And you have to see about Paris Climate Deal or Paris Climate Agreement of 2015, and you have to see about recent COP 29 highlights. And not only that, you have to see about nationally determined contributions of India, NDCs. So if you cover all this, then your static and current affairs part will be done from this topic. Okay, so whenever you're getting any topic in news, try to cover from both static and as well as mains, then only your preparation will be complete. Don't forget this while you're reading current affairs. So while reading newspaper, try to write all these things by using red pen or like color pen, so that after reading newspaper, try to make a note in a separate book. So this notes will be helping as a key for clearing your prelims. Nothing is going to help you apart from these notes. Okay, now let us see here. The context says that India is finalizing its biannual transparency report. So once in every 2 years, India will be giving its report, okay, regarding whether we are taking the norms, we are taking any measures or steps to achieve this Paris Climate Deal of 2015 or not. So what is Paris Climate Deal of 2015? or Paris Agreement, it says that we have to reduce global warming by 1.5 1.5 degrees centigrade to 2 degrees centigrade when we are comparing with 1990s level. So when we can achieve this decreasing of global warming, that is when we are decreasing this greenhouse gases. So is there any link? Yes. So here we are filing every 2 years regarding the report regarding India's steps and how this greenhouse gas are decreasing to achieve this target of Paris climate deal. So here whenever we are filing this, then we can understand that India is trying a lot to ensure its promises. Okay, so India is mainly trying to enhance the transparency in its climate action. So we are moving towards a shift of accountability and transparency even regarding emission reporting as well. So that we are trying a lot to combat climate change. And this one here is because of this COVID-19 pandemic, there was impact on emissions. So even during that time, what happened? National-wide imposition of lockdown and even work from home had been implemented for 2 years like that. Even in some companies, they're going for work from home now also. So because of this, there is no need of transport. So if there is no need of transport, obviously there is decreasing of greenhouse emissions or carbon dioxide emissions. So because of this, what happened? At that 2020, there was decreasing of this India's GHG emissions. So that is because of this COVID-19 pandemic. So even because of this shutting down of companies and working from home, so what are the electricity used by this industries or factories or service sector or anything which had been reduced. So because of this, even there is reduced energy consumption. So as you all know that most of our energy that we are getting from coal, in our yesterday's class only we discussed, right? So because of that coal, what happens? So some million tons of carbon dioxide emissions will be released. So if there is decreasing of energy consumption from our side, from production also they will be decreasing, so that there is decreased carbon dioxide emissions. So it is also one important account that we made in this report, that is impact of COVID-19 pandemic. And next one here is we are also moving towards this renewable energy, and the target here is we have to achieve this 500 gigawatts of green, that is renewable energy. It is one of the INDC of India. So if you want to focus on that, especially we need to focus on sustainable development, and we have to focus on reducing of emissions, everything. So if you're talking about some facts regarding this report, so under this United Nations FCCCC framework, especially developing countries, they are obliged, they have to 100% submit this detailed reports on what are the efforts they are taking regarding climate action. So every 2 years we will be updating our report. So this report is submitted as part of obligations under Paris Climate Agreement or Paris Climate Deal. So what are the submissions we will take? We will write about overview of our country's climate, and we will be writing about socio-economic conditions, and we will be writing about forestry, and even detailed greenhouse gas emissions from our country. We will be writing a detailed report. Okay, and let us see the next articles. In yesterday's class itself, I already said that tomorrow editorial will be CEC, right? So there is one editorial. This is about CEC. So it is about time and timing. It is talking about the validity of CEC selection process needs early adjudication. So just don't go into the political thing. What is happening between BJP government and Congress government? What is this Rahul Gandhi saying? So we don't want that. Don't bother about that. So just see about some basic facts regarding CEC that we discussed in our yesterday's class. That's it. And even we discussed about this article, I think 3 to 4 days ago. It is about Samagra Siksha funds. So actually, Tamil Nadu government is not getting this Samagra Siksha funds. So there is a cutting down of this happened. So already we had detailed discussion on this, I think 3 to 4 days ago. So just see about some facts regarding the Samagra Siksha fund, and students who are writing this 2025 prelims, you have to make a note of some detailed facts regarding this scheme for sure. And next article, it is about the deeper meaning of declining school enrollment. So actually this article is talking about enrollment in schools is decreasing. So school enrollment, who will go to school? Normally younger people, no, like we, you, like that, we don't go to schools, right? We will be like adults, we had completed our education. Will you go to schools? No. So only the children, they will be going to the schools. So here this article is saying that there is decreasing of school enrollment. There is decreasing of school enrollment. That means, can we understand that there is decreasing of children percentage or children population? So there is decreasing of children population is happening in our country, so that there is decreasing of school enrollment. So can we link with TFR? Yes, there is decreasing of TFR in our country. That means couple wants to have very less number of children, like only one or two. So because of that, what happened? There is very less newer younger generation is coming. So because of this, there is decreasing of school enrollment. So this is the thing which mainly said here, nothing more than this. So now actually this article is saying about the trend of declining of school enrollment in India. So because of this, it is going to threaten our future potential. So there is one famous saying, today's children are tomorrow's citizens. So if today's children are decreasing, that means so tomorrow's citizens capacity is also going to be declined in India. That means in tomorrow's India, we will be having more amount of older population compared to that of younger generation. So older population is increasing means obviously there will be increasing of burden on the government because of social security schemes. So that is the thing which mainly said here. So here this article is saying that enrollment is declining. That means demographic changes is happening. There is decreasing of youth population and increasing of old age population. And next one here is obviously if you are having less number of children or one or two, you will be always giving priority for the private schools over government schools. If you're having more number of children, if you're thinking about finances, you will be sending your children to the government schools. If you're having very less limited number of children, obviously you will be going towards private schools. Again, there will be crisis in the government schools. The enrollment will be further decreased in this government schools compared to the top private schools. So it is also one problem. And next one is private schools will be getting good enrollments compared to the top government schools. And next one here is not only India is facing this problem, but many countries where this TFR had been decreased, especially like Japan, like countries are also facing this trend. It is not only unique to India. And next one here is why it is happening because of declining of TFR. So now the TFR, average TFR is 2.9, but in southern states it had been decreased to 1.8 to 1.9. So because of this, very less number of children coming in the next generation. So that again, there is impact on the future. So here because of this, we have to take some urgent policy revisions regarding education so that we have to engage in the demographic dividend effectively. That is the thing, nothing more than this. And there is one article, it is about rarest of rare, it is about death penalty. Death penalty is also called as hang to death. So actually this article is talking about death penalty. So on January 22nd, two separate murder convictions happened. And now because of this death penalty or hang to death is again in news. So actually there is one important case of Supreme Court, you have to remember that, if possible write somewhere. That is 1980 Supreme Court judgment. Name of that judgment is Bachchan Singh versus State of Punjab. So in this judgment of Bachchan Singh versus State of Punjab, so Supreme Court said that death penalty can be given in only rarest of rarer cases. So in all cases we should not give death sentence. That is the thing that you have to remember. That's it. And the next article here is why are marriages in China on decline? So there is declining of marriage in China, it seems. So marriages is a part of your society. And even in anthropology also you have this topic of marriage in 2.3, and we started with that only, right? So if you're getting this kind of current affairs, you have to add a note on that marriages in your anthropology and as well as in your society notes. So here as per Chinese Ministry of Civil Affairs, so there were only 6.1 million couples registered. So there is declining of around 20.3% of marriages in China. When we compare to 2023, in 2024, there is drop of 20.3%. Okay, so here because of declining of population, it is one of the important reason why there is declining of marriages in China. Okay, so that is the thing. Just and here there is one more point which is given, people above 16 years, they are making up around 22% of Chinese population today, and maybe by 2050 50% of population will be above 60 years in China. That means in China also there is increasing of old age population is happening. Okay, so that is the thing that you have to see. And because of this they cancel this one child policy and they are shifting towards again two child policy and more than two child policy in China, so that they can increase younger youth population. So that's all guys. By this I'm concluding. Thank you so much for watching, and please do like this class and share this class, and do subscribe to Rathod's Eyes Academy.